I've heard countless people say that integrating AV systems with a quality management system always adds costs. Everyone agrees that designing and installing systems with the AV 9000 standard is clearly a way to do it properly, but that no one is willing to pay for it. It's easy enough to prove that integrators can save an incredible amount of money by following the AV 9000 standard. It drastically cuts down the amount of overtime labor, expedited shipping costs, time wasted in the field trying to bring dead-on-arrival equipment back to life, and looking for a Radio Shack that hopefully carries that adapter you need. But what about the clients? They mostly contract a specific amount of money for a specific system. How can inserting AV 9000 into their project save them money? I'm glad you asked. AQAV put together a spreadsheet to answer that exact question. As an example, I'll use a project we commissioned a few months ago that ran into the typical hiccups our industry sees on projects. This is a worksheet for calculating the cost of poor AV quality, the Technology Manager version. There is also an integrator version, but this spreadsheet deals with typically hidden or unaccounted for costs that a Technology Manager would run into when things start heading south on a project. For this particular example, we will call this project the Best Conference Room that was completed on September 1st, 2015. I won't go through every item on the list in the interest of time. I'll just touch upon some common issues that can cost a technology manager a lot of money. The Best Conference Room is your typical conference room that was supposed to be consistent with other rooms in the building, so the functions were already agreed upon. However, a new model of video conferencing codec was selected, and that threw the project team for a loop. 8 hours of the technology manager's time was wasted identifying punch list items in the room. He then needed to prepare a report of his findings and hold a conference call with the vendor to review it. That took about another 2 hours. Then, of course, he had to go back and check to make sure those items were properly addressed. This took another 4 hours. Another time waster was not the technology manager's time personally, but still cost the client money. In order to meet the tight schedule, the vendor had to work 2 weekends that were not originally planned for. That is clearly a money loser for the vendor, but also for the client, since security escorts needed to be assigned to their technicians to get them access to the building. So 2 weekends of 8-hour shifts should be 32 hours, but at time and a half, it actually works out to 48 hours. Because of this overtime work, the client had to meet with the vendor's management to persuade them to dedicate the manpower to the weekend work. That was a 2-hour meeting. The client then had to meet with his own supervisor several times to explain where the delays were coming from. This took an additional 4 hours of his time and their time. Due to the delay in room turnover, a few solutions were attempted. The system was manually operated by an operator while the kinks were being worked out. But time was wasted logging into devices and routing sources to destinations because of poor system documentation. Let's say 4 hours were wasted on this endeavor. Once manually operating the room failed, all the meetings that were scheduled for the Best Conference Room had to be redirected for a few weeks while items were resolved. This took the technology manager about 4 hours in total to reschedule everything. So, for this example, 76 hours of the client's time was wasted, but it doesn't stop there. Additionally, since the building was down a room, a space needed to be rented for a large event they had planned in the new space. This cost an additional $1,500 for the day. Now we need to start adding these items up. In order to figure out the costs of those 76 client hours that were wasted, we simply estimate a yearly salary for all involved on the user side and divide by 2,000 hours worked in a year to get a per hour cost. For this example, for all our players, let's guess at an average salary of $100,000 a year. Divide that by 2,000 hours per year, and we come up with a cost of $50 an hour for the technology manager's time. At 76 hours wasted, that equates to $3,800 of client labor. Let's also say that about $1,000 worth of lost opportunity can be attributed to these project problems, where the technology manager, his supervisors, and the security personnel could have been doing other work for the client's organization. So we have $3,800 in client labor, $1,500 to rent a space because the room wasn't ready, and another $1,000 chalked up to lost opportunity costs. Adding together, we have about $6,300 as the total cost of poor quality for this one room. On a $60,000 video conferencing room project, that's about 11% of the project budget thrown out the window. That doesn't compare to what the vendor lost, of course, but hopefully this spreadsheet shows you how these hidden costs can quickly add up for the technology managers. $6,300 of the client's money. That's the lost money bean counters don't quantify when they award a project to the lowest bid. That's the amount of money that could have been saved by simply applying quality management to the AV procurement process for this one room. Imagine a project with 10 rooms. $63,000 lost. That's someone's salary lost to poor quality. Not only that, but 76 hours of the client's time was lost and had to be made up somehow. Roughly 2 weeks of time that could have been spent doing something productive and forward-thinking instead of cleaning up issues. So, not only does procuring AV with the AV 9000 standard give you the complete system you asked for, on schedule, and within budget, but it also saves the users money. Not just headaches, not just reputations, although it saves them as well, but it is definitively cheaper to install systems with the AV 9000 standard. Even if you hire a third-party commissioning agent like AVR, you save money. And now with the spreadsheet, you can put a number on it.